welcome to Tailgate Beers. We've got Austin and Ryan here as usual. Today we've got a very special episode that I know I have personally, professionally, and everything else in between. I've been looking forward to sitting down and recording this, and can't wait for you guys to see it. So Austin's over here as usual. Ryan is here. To my left, we've got Brandon Dethridge, who is with CreatiVets. And we'll get into a little bit of what CreatiVets does and their connection to all of this. But welcome, Brandon.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's about time.
And over to my farther left, we got James Krusemark, who is a veteran that was connected to CreatiVets, which, again, we're going to get into the behind-the-scenes story of James and what he did in the military, but also his connection and how he found CreatiVets. So stick around. This is going to be a special, special episode.
Absolutely.
But James, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
We're in Illinois having fun.
Have you been to cruise-ins or this at Peoria?
So I drive truck during the week, and that's just kind of my profession now. So I'm in Peoria at least 5 times a month, but I'm always just cruising through. So we load not far from here, over on 24, but other than that, I just kind of pass through. I've been here, there, and everywhere.
So who do you drive a truck for?
So I own my own truck, but I dispatch through Mike Shen out of Knoxville, Iowa.
Okay.
So.
And that's just like a Monday through Friday?
Yeah, I mean, traditionally Monday through Friday kind of job. So.
All right. And what in Iowa? What kind of took you to the festival in general? Just how far away is that from you, Clinton, Iowa?
Clinton, Iowa is about 2 hours, 2.5 hours from my hometown in Oskaloosa. So, my wife and I's life kind of essentially fell apart, and Danielle surprised me with tickets to Tailgate and Tall Boys. Jelly Roll is one of the artists that I spent a lot of time listening to, and he was at Clinton that year. So, the original goal was to go see Jelly Roll and go to a music festival. Danielle and I's first date was actually at Laser Fest in Iowa. That was something that we enjoyed doing together, so I'm sure in her mind that was something we'd enjoy doing as well. So
right.
That was our first intent, was to go and watch Jelly Roll in Clinton, Iowa.
On the music side, I mean, is Jelly Roll somebody that you're like listening to a lot, or what's your kind of music you're listening to on a regular basis? And I don't want to judge you by your hairstyle or anything of what I might think,
that's
but
all right. I mean, my hairstyle is it's different itself,
right.
But it's kind of my image that has always been part of me. So,
but one would assume you're a big rock guy.
And you would be wrong.
Really?
Yeah.
See, that's why you don't judge a book by its cover.
No, I listen to a wide variety of things, but I do spend a lot of time listening to music that has deeper meaning than just a song. So, I mean, I can tell you I've done my research on you guys, and I know that song or that question. So,
he's our first one.
So I've narrowed it down to even 5 songs that I can live with, not albums. But we'll get to that if you ask the question.
Oh, absolutely,
but
absolutely.
I listen to a little bit of everything. I mean, from your techno pop to country to, even the old school blues stuff, but more of songs and music that have deeper meaning than just the beat and the rhythm of the music. So I actually listen more for the lyrics and the understanding of what they mean versus.
So when you listen to a new song, whether like it is a Jelly Roll or anybody else that you're into, do you watch the lyrics at first to just make sure you're kind of picking up what the lyrics are and reading them as you're listening to the song, or are you just like I want to listen to it and try to digest what you think is being sung?
So for me, not necessarily reading the lyrics, but listen to the music and then apply it to a situation in my life that I can understand. So that's where Jelly Roll, Up Church, I mean, those are even Dax. I listen to a lot of Dax and then apply his lyrics to my situations in life. So.
And I think, and I'm sure you agree that some of those best songs are ones that they certainly have an intention of the songwriter themselves of what they were going through, but they write them in a way that we as fans and listeners can apply them to, multiple different things happening in our lives. And that to me is what music is about, because we talk about it a lot. Music for us are chapters of our life, right? We can listen to something that we heard 10 years ago, and in a lot of ways, if we connected with it, we can think about what was happening or where you were at, or what you were doing when you were listening to that, or that impact on that. I mean, it sounds like that's the same for you.
Yeah, I mean, for especially like my older brother, I used to listen to Eric Clapton and James Taylor, because that was at that moment when I was in high school. Those were the concerts and things that he was listening to. So when I was with him, I learn new artists. I learn new songs. I mean, so that was kind of, like you said, I can go back in time and look at, oh, that's where I was when I heard that the first time, or, oh, I was doing this. So.
So to bring in Brandon too, and the connection with CreatiVets. So we've heard, Danielle, you were in a tough part of your life, and we're going to get into that certainly. And your wife Danielle, who's in the room with us as well. I thought it would be a great thing for you guys to go to as a couple or whatnot. So she got tickets to Tailgate and Tall Boys. But meanwhile, behind the scenes, outside of James and his family, we have Brandon who is a member of CreatiVets, or works for CreatiVets.
Yep.
Let's talk a little bit about how that came about, or what the connection from CreatiVets to Tailgate and Tall Boys is.
Yeah, so 2013 is when CreatiVets started. Richard Casper, my best friend in the whole world. He went to Iraq straight out of high school, got blown up several times, 4 times, I believe, in 6 months, came back, had PTS pretty bad. Looking for ways to get through it and survive, the night, day by day, struggling. I lived with him. I would get the calls when he got blown up from Iraq, from a random, crazy number. And then he's like, yeah, I got blown up again, didn't think a big deal then, but when he came home, then it hit. So he had a great art professor over at Heartland College in Bloomington, just trying to get a degree. He's like, I just want a business degree, just something to have a degree and find a job, and do this life thing we call life the best way we know how, and that's ingrained into us. So struggled through school, couldn't do speeches or anything like that in his classes. Ended up taking an art class just to try and get some credits under his belt, and his teacher told him he was painting his gunner's grave who got killed in Iraq, and his teacher said, don't paint the grass green, that's too cliche, too standard. Do something else. You use a different color. And he ended up using red for the grass. And his classmates and his teacher are like, hey, that's anger. That's your gunner's blood. That's this that you're expressing without even knowing it. And then I think it clicked in his head. He's like, all right, this helped me. And he started doing more and more and more. Helped him. And he was just hunting for a way to help other veterans then. Because he realized, all right, I can write some songs. I can do this. Ended up going up to Chicago, working at Joe's on Wheat, and he found I think it was Mark Irwin as a writer, and he's like, hey man, I just want to write a song, tell my story in a song. Like, would you write with me? And and then next thing you know, he's writing songs. And now he's like, all right, I got to go down to Nashville. Fast forward, 2013. We're officially a charity. He found CreatiVets with Linda Tarson. They co-founded it together. Awesome lady. Lived up in Chicago. They met at a restaurant. He was just sitting there. And she hooked up him and a couple other guys up with her season Bears tickets. She's like, no, you need to go to this. Thank you, And then they became fast friends. And she loved the idea of CreatiVets. Founded it. We went from being here in Illinois and figuring it out to he moved to Nashville because that's where all the songwriters are. We bring in veterans to Nashville and sit them down with songwriters. They tell their story for a few hours. And it started out like we were just at the CreatiVets office or like a writing room or something like that. Now we're the only people who are allowed backstage at the Grand Ole Opry, and that's where we take the veteran to write their song and tell their story. By the end of it, they have their story written into a song that we then eventually get professionally recorded because we're signed by Big Machine. I don't know if I'm supposed to drop that or not. If that's a plug, or
Edit that out if we need to.
I don't know if I'm allowed to or not. But anyway. Big Machine helps us out a lot to release that on Spotify, Apple, all that stuff. And then fast forward, when we started, rewind, I guess. When we started, Wayne was like, "Let's do a CreatiVets benefit. Let's do a Ripper." And, the old Wayne Klein Ripper. And I was like, "Yeah, dude, let's get like Blackjack Billy," because I think they wrote one of our first songs with Jesse Shirts out of Metamora. He's a local guy who got blown up in Iraq pretty bad, lost his leg. And so brought in Blackjack Billy, did a concert, raised like $5,000, and that back then, when we first started, $5,000 was a lot for us to make, So it was a great time. Blackjack Billy put on a hell of a show. Wish Wayne would get him back. Keep that in there. But then, then did another one a couple years later because, it was like, let's just do another one, Wayne's like, I got this guy Hardy coming in. That's when Rednecker first kind of hit the radio. I was like, hey, guy's pretty good. Now, look at the guy, he's huge. Add it to the list of Cruisin's bands that have like blown up, like Laney Wilson, Morgan Wallen. Yeah. I'm not saying Cruisin's did that for them, but it's pretty cool that they played Cruisin's and, played Tailgates and all these things. But then, I pitched Wayne. I was like, dude, let's partner up with Tailgates, bring in a charity. Like, it looks good, it looks good on Tailgates to bring in a veteran charity. We can help veterans at the festival. This is kind of a new idea for us is let's go to where the veterans might be instead of making them catch a flight to us when they might hate flying or hate traveling, and they're at this festival and they can walk right up to us and say, hey man, I could use a little help. I just want to tell my story. Give me an hour of your time. We bring the songwriters right to the festival. Sit there. Started out as an RV,
2022.
I think that was 2022, yeah. And it was literally like a little pop-up tent, and we didn't know what the hell to expect. We didn't know if anybody would walk up to us. It was a great turnout. We had a lot of veterans come up to us, didn't know about us or anything like that. If we couldn't, squeeze them in, or they're like, I want to focus on seeing the headliners, because why wouldn't they? They paid to be at a festival. But we would find ways to work them into our schedule, whether it be in Nashville, a virtual write, anything like that. And then 2023, we went to Iowa and Bloomington. And then, I wasn't in Iowa when James was there, but I'm glad that we were there when James walked by and he came up and told his story. And it's probably one of the most powerful things I've ever heard. As somebody who's been involved with CreatiVets on a very personal level, because it saved my best friend's life. But then hearing how it actually affected somebody, very close, very nearby, and like being a part of helping, because I've raised a lot of money. I don't want to throw numbers out there. I raised a lot of money for CreatiVets because I didn't serve. So I'm like, what the hell can I do to help out? I didn't serve, I was a pussy and didn't go. And I'll flat out say that. And so I'm like, I just want to raise money. I can write a hell of a letter. I can make people feel bad and give money. That's what I'm good at.
Yeah.
And
bug the shit out of people.
Yeah, Austin, I think you can attest. I think you can attest.
Let's go spade to spade.
Yeah, I'm real good at.
That's what you got. But that's what you got to do. No, and then hey, that fifth time.
Listen.
Yes.
I met my wife at a music festival. I don't know how many other girls I ever hit on, but finally one said yes,
Yeah, so, and I'm sure she didn't say yes right out of the gate. Probably had to pester her a little bit.
No, she actually hunted me down, she claims. So
come on,
I don't believe it. We're
gonna have to get her on here.
We're gonna have to bring her in.
No fucking chance.
Dude,
you down.
Yeah, I don't know. This fat ass sweaty guy at a festival. There's no way.
She didn't stalk you on MySpace?
Nah, she had actually flown in with a mutual friend from Massachusetts. We were on the same campsite. I yelled at her the first night because we had some randies that were lingerers, and they're like, "Oh, play EDM." We're like, "Nah, man, we're at a country music festival. We're not playing EDM." We had a big sound system. We always did that. and like we're the people who mow our grass and set up our campsite and all that shit. Anyway, like she's like, "Hey, can you turn on EDM?" Not knowing that I had already told these people who kept touching our soundboard and stuff, like, get the F off our campsite.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Hey, can you turn on some like techno or something like that?" And I was like, "I'm not fucking turning on techno. Shut the fuck up with it already." And like it was just a reaction because it was more of like directed at those assholes that were lingering and drinking our beer, and which I'll share beer all day long, but you know, I'm not turning on techno.
Yeah, don't touch my music.
Yeah, don't touch our soundboard. Anyway, I apologized to her later after dominating her in Flippy Cup. And, you know, the rest is history. You know, we're 7 years, almost 8 years in, got a baby on the way. And, yeah, so,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Time flies.
Dude, unreal.
And it is a tough thing when you're, because I sit in the same position as you, as, you know, I'm somebody that, you know, did not serve, you know, always been, you know, big supporter of it. Him and I just had kind of a big heart of his history and his background. And, yeah, and again, thanks to, you know, both of you, people that have served and everybody out there. But it is hard because you're always trying to figure out what can I do?
Yeah.
You know, and so knowing that CreatiVets, I think it's gotten better and better every year, trying to always get involved in any way we can at the festival.
Absolutely.
So then going into last year, you reached out, and it is a crazy busy time for us, and it's all going, and you know, you tell us a story, and I think I met you you came to Bloomington after Clinton, and then that's where I met you for the first time. Hearing that story, what a crazy, because for us, you know, we know what CreatiVets does, and we know it happens all the time, but to truly have it happen at the festival, in the moment, and again, you probably have talked to hundreds and hundreds of veterans.
Yeah.
But again, there's just one that it makes a difference in that moment because you don't know where they're at, you know, in that stage of life.
And it may not help 90% of the veterans. We don't know. You know, we try to follow up and see, and you know, it's one of those things you can ask somebody how they're doing, and everybody doesn't want to. You know, it's hard to open up about. Yeah, I'm struggling. It's hard, and it's a very vulnerable moment for these veterans to tell that story, or to even afterwards say like, "Man, I'm still fucking struggling," or whatever.
Right.
So
from a vet perspective too, and correct me if you think I'm wrong. I mean, we are taught in the military that being vulnerable, talking about feelings, talking about emotions, talking about things that we have seen, and you much more than I. You know, so it becomes, you know, taboo that, you know, you get out of the military and you know, people want, you know, friends want to hear, you know, how you're feeling or what you're going through and those types of things, and we are trained to kind of bottle that up.
And that's, yeah, for sure. And my wife hates the fact that I don't talk, and I generally don't talk to people about anything that's going on in my life because it's instilled in me that is my problem. And, you know, and we deal with that struggle all the time because that is something that is built into us, that you don't put yourself out there as vulnerable. You figure out how to keep it inside, do your job, and continue on. And, you know, Danielle spotted a shirt that he's wearing now that is like, hey, let's go check that out. And that's where it all began.
So let me recap that a little bit too, and so we can walk down that path. And so obviously, like we've mentioned, Brandon is here with CreatiVets, and they have made a connection with Tailgate and Tall Boys. We're had a couple festivals going on in both Clinton, Iowa, and Bloomington. James and his family's from Iowa area. CreatiVets is offering or at festivals, and they're providing a resource, they're providing an opportunity for veterans who they just happen to be at the festival to kind of come through, just kind of offering that opportunity for veterans that are going to these music festivals to sit down, tell their story, be in a room with some songwriters, and be able to possibly turn that into those things that they've seen or those experiences into a song.
yeah, I mean, and like you were saying, it is taboo to a lot of veterans to just keep it in or to talk about it. I've been laughed at when I brought it up to like friends. Like they're like, "No, I'm not fucking talking about that." And I'm like, "That's fine. It's your story. If you want to ever get it out there, it's yours. It's not ours. We don't own it. We don't want. You know, we want to help you if you need it."
Sometimes, you know, you're going through something. It's like, dude, stop being a little bitch. Like, figure it out. I mean, you're kind of sometimes, and then add the military on top of that, man. I mean, let alone you take the fake society of Facebook and all that. It's like everybody's meant to be perfect.
Yeah.
And we all go through struggles as men, as veterans and all this stuff. Again, I go back to ours. I came into that podcast the other night with him and I, like, man, I'm busy. I got so much shit going on and I'm stressed out with a bunch of other shit. And we sit down, I know he's going through shit. Dude, we got done with that podcast, it's like, it's good to get it out. I don't know anybody. There might only be 2 people that ever listen to that podcast. Maybe, I don't know, maybe 13.
My mom is probably half of one.
But it's good to get out because you're not the only one that goes through that. And again, I don't know where you were going, but I think it was.
So in my head, I'm like, we can let the veteran tell that story one time. Tell that story one time, and then you have it. You have your song it's recorded. You can just go. You want to hear my story? Here you go. Go listen to it.
Yep.
You don't got to tell it anymore. It lets them tell it one time. Get it out. They can listen to it. We've had spouses thank us because they're like, I didn't know this stuff. They don't. My husband wouldn't tell me this. Now I know. Now I know what he goes through, and now I know why. Thanks, Austin. Great.
Sorry.
No.
Keep going. Sorry, I got choked.
Yeah. Now I know why my spouse is feeling this way or that way or reactive or doesn't want to talk to me at this time or, crawls to the refrigerator in the middle of the night. Now I know because he got to tell his story or she got to tell her story one time.
Yeah.
And now they can play that song for anybody who doesn't understand them. What's up here, what they keep up here because they want to, from what I've heard, in a lot of our songs is they want to protect everybody around them. That's a veteran's nature is to protect, and they want to protect them and shield them from that trauma. They went and faced that trauma so that their spouses and their kids and stuff like that don't have to. Is the way I understand it. Now, again, I'm not a veteran, so I don't know, but that song lets them somewhat understand it while still probably keeping some of that stuff for themselves.
So with that, go into your background of military. How did it start? I mean, and let's lead up to kind of get to Clinton, but I mean, again, share your history of your background of military.
So I graduated high school and I went to college and, and this is '03. So, I mean, we're fired up for Iraq and, they just blew our buildings up. That was the mentality of most people in my class. And at that time, that was something that I wanted to do, but my father and I don't always see eye to eye, so therefore his goal for me was school, work, go figure out how to provide for a family. Then if that's something you want to do in life, do it later. So that's what I did. I went to work and stuff, and my life had kind of turned upside down, and I ended up in Missouri, and I lived literally in an 8x12 shack in the middle of a rock quarry. And that's where I met my wife and her family down there. And at that point in time in my life, I just kind of stalled out. There was nothing exciting. I mean, I did what I wanted, when I wanted. If I worked great. If I wanted to fish all day, that's what I did. So I wanted to do something different. So I graduated basic training on my 27th birthday. I was an old dog going in. But it was something that I wanted to do. I wanted to do since I graduated. It was a choice that I made that I had to complete something better than what I was doing. So I entered the military. I went to basic training. I come out. I was a reservist in Iowa, and I was a 12 November horizontal construction engineer. So big old dirt pushers. I mean, we built his airfields is what our job was.
Yeah.
But
I probably sat back with a beer and watched.
And that's all right. That's all right. But that's what we were trained to do. So that kind of went on. And in 2014, I volunteered to deploy because our home unit had actually just got word that we were going to split up and be separated into different units. And that was probably going to be my only opportunity with that unit and the guys that my comrades that I was used to, for some of us to go. So we volunteered. We went over to Kuwait, and I can tell you right now that my military story is I never got blown up. I never seen anything. my Army mission ended by the simple edge of a concrete sidewalk in training for Army games. We were over there training to go compete with the other companies. And mind you, I'm 250 pounds without kit. I'm pushing 310, 315 full kit, rucksack and everything else. Well, we're outside training, and I went down to get down on my knees, and I hit the edge of the concrete underneath the sand and sheared all the cartilage from behind my kneecap. My military career was over. Something that I truly was passionate about, that I wanted to complete that mission of going on to Afghanistan and doing what the rest of the company got to do. I didn't get to do that. So I ended up having surgery in country. They were supposed to send me back home for therapy. That was a big fiasco. The only reason I made it home was they reported me AWOL in Germany because the unit I was attached to transferred me to Germany because they were sick of dealing with me, because they were supposed to do certain things. I was supposed to go home, recover, and come back and finish my mission. I didn't get to do that, so they just transferred me to another unit, dropped me off at Arif John, left me there for over 2 months by myself, and they got a phone call wanting to know where I was because I was reported AWOL. So a couple emails later, 48 hours, I was on a plane back to the States. So I don't have a hero story. That was something that, that I deal with now every day, as I don't have those stories or, those things that everybody else, a combat vet went through. I don't have that, but what I do have is my knowledge of the military and what I was able to do while I had the chance to do it. So coming back from that, I came back, and Danielle and I had got married, and we had my youngest daughter, Natalia, and we were back in Iowa and working and trucking. And I've never really worked one job in my life. If I had one full-time job, I needed two. And if I didn't have two, I was working 100 hours at one. Through my story, my injuries have diminished my abilities to continue that type of lifestyle. So I drive truck now because I can't build you a house on the weekend and drive truck during the week anymore. Kind of dealing with those situations in life that I was losing my abilities led me into very depressing states, and it took more control of my life as life went on. My depression and my anxiety and other outside sources coming in down on top of me increased my desire for, I'll get rid of it. The bottom of this bottle, I'll either pass out or I'll forget. And that was my goal. As I mentioned, my father and I, we didn't always see eye to eye, but he passed away July of 2022. And the reality is that I lost one of my best friends. Even though many times I would call and all he had to say was, I was a fucking idiot, but you'll survive this. And
So you guys still had a bond even when you didn't agree.
we did, but it was kind of that. He was the hard truth of life.
Tough love.
Yeah, and that was instilled in me since I was a kid. I mean, my children will tell you I'm a mean son of a bitch when I have to be, but it's because I love you. It's not because I'm trying to be mean. It's not because I'm trying to do harm. It's just that's what I know, and that's what my father was. But when my dad passed, being present was kind of my confirmation that it was okay. Like, me and him we had figured it out, So from that moment, I lost complete control of anything. I mean, I had one goal, and that was to be drunk all day, every day, and that's what I did. I worked 2 jobs, ran rental houses, flipped houses, worked a full-time job, but I had no intention of doing anything else but drinking and partying, and that created more problems in my life. bringing us more toward that moment of meeting CreatiVets at Tailgate and Tall Boys, I had nothing left. There was no fight. The fight was gone. I couldn't be with my comrades doing what I loved to do in the military. I couldn't do the jobs that I used to do. All I knew how to do at that point was drink, get drunk, and piss my family off. And that's what I did. So why keep putting them through that? So when I found out that Danielle bought and set up this thing for Father's Day to go to Tailgate and Tall Boys, it's like, oh, I'll go. But after that, I'm out. I'm done fighting. I'm done trying to deal with everything in my life. And their life has got to be better without me here doing this to them every day. So that was my goal, was to go to one more country or music festival and listen to those musicians, and then I would free them from me. And that was my intention. When we went to that music festival and Danielle had seen that sign, because the military is so important to me, and seen the shirts, hey, let's go check it out. It didn't matter who you were, what you were. If you had something that was promoting something military, I'd buy 2 of them just because. And that was kind of what we had went over to do, was to buy a shirt and support whatever organization this is. It doesn't matter. It says vets, And at that point in time is when I met the gentleman, Dick Nash, that he just walked up. I wouldn't say that I was completely plastered that day, but I had had a few. And I was just at the point that I was comfortable enough to talk, I guess. And Dick Nash walked up and he says, "Can I have a moment of your time?" I ain't got nothing else to lose, man, whatever. And that's when they kind of introduced the program to me. And Danielle is in the background. I mean, I spend 90% of my day when I'm in the truck, out driving, listening to music. And that's kind of my language. I mean, I could probably tell you a story without my own words, just in the songs that I play. You want to know how I'm feeling? Listen. And that's kind of how I communicate sometimes when I'm in those moments of, depression and stuff. And she's like, try it. Just, why not? Why not? See what they got going on. By that time, all I was going to do was go back to the VIP and grab a couple more drinks and maybe some George's chicken and, go listen to some music. So why not? So I got in the camper, and that's where I met Jesse and Brett. And Amy was there, and my mentor, and Jesse, Taylor, and Brett. They just kind of sat down, and you could just feel the comfort of they're either going to listen and care or they're not. Because if they don't care, it doesn't change my outcome at the end of the day. And that 2 hours that we sat there, it was just, I was able to release a lot of heartache that I've been carrying for so long, that I was able to talk and not feel ashamed of who I was, because at that point it didn't matter.
So how did you feel about it? I mean, when they initially, you went in the RV and they said, hey, we would love to, and that, correct me the story of how this goes. We would love to turn your story into a song, or we would love to hear your story and kind of depict what we're hearing from that story into some lyrics for a future song. I mean, how does that, resonate with you? And you're just there to watch a festival. Had a few drinks and ready to have a good time with your wife, to listen to some good music, and then all of a sudden, you're in an RV and they're saying, hey, we want to write a song with you.
So, I mean, and I'm very reluctant, like I said, with my words. I mean, Daniel hates it that I don't talk, but they just kind of introduced themselves and kind of where they were, where they came from, and having Amy there to kind of tell some of her story. You know, it's that camaraderie. It doesn't matter whether you're in the Air Force and I'm in the Army. We walk in and see somebody in uniform. They're part of our family, no matter where they come from or who they are. It's part of the family. And so, you know, to have that veteran there, even though you don't know them from Adam, just knowing that, hey, they served, was kind of my release button to, hey, you're all right.
It's comfort.
Answer the questions, and they'll do what they need to do with it. And from there, we just kind of talked about kind of my history and where I came from and my family. And if you could tell your family one thing, what would it be? Look what we were. What were we when we were us? And that's where we started, was when Danielle and I first became what we are today. We weren't boyfriend and girlfriend. We were us. And together, we could do anything. And that's kind of where the beginning of our song, or my song, started, was if you could tell them anything, what would it be? When we're us. There is nothing we can't do. And from there, instead of telling more of my military story, because like I said, I don't have those blown up stories. I don't have those things. But what I do have is what my injury in the military has done to my life since then, to take away those moments of my family being us. And that's where this song originated from, was being able to explain to them kind of, this is why I am the way I am, and this is what I miss. This is why my life is different. Sitting down just telling their stories, and then me opening up and telling, and then to hear them they're writing notes the whole time, and they take my notes and go, hold on a second. And they start playing, and the next thing you know, they've got a line. Next thing they know, you've got a chorus. And it's like, how did you take that out of what I just said?
Well, up to that point, how much were you into writing music? Was it any?
No.
I mean, you at this point, I mean, you hadn't wrote, or even, you weren't like writing music yourself or playing the guitar.
No, I think I wrote a few poems in high school. I mean, you know.
I wasn't sure. So for you, this was like, holy shit, I've never even seen how this process works.
Yeah.
And how you did. Okay.
Yeah.
I was just making sure.
And for them to just sit there and go, we're going to put this together. For me, I'm one of those people that if I don't know how to do something, I'm going to figure it out. Mm-hmm. So for me to watch them do that strikes a fire that, well, why not? You know, I can figure out how to do that, but I don't know how yet. So watching them do it, it kind of brought back that desire to learn something new, you know.
Have you written any songs, or have you tried writing some of your own since then?
So after our first initial song, then Jesse Taylor, we had set up a songwriting session virtually with him. The initial goal of that is to write another song pertaining to your life and, you know, another situation, just to kind of keep building upon that. In the 2 sessions that is scheduled for that, we ended up actually writing 2 songs. And, you know, in just a matter of, the first song that we wrote was Hammer Down, an awesome song that kind of depicts, I'm a truck driver, and, you know, and I'm dealing with my alcoholism and my things of that nature, that, you know, it reminds me that, hey, keep it up, you're doing all right. So I listen to that song quite a bit, just as a reminder of where I'm going, not where I was. And then we wrote another song together about the 40, which is a property that we own that my dad owned before he passed, and my family bought that, and that's kind of our safe haven now, which is what it was to him. Outside of that, in the truck, I mean, I play with it quite a bit. I mean, in my downtime, is, you know, putting words together, writing it on a notepad, and someday maybe there's something there. I don't, you know, but I still focus more on today and every day of getting better of who I am versus who I was, and that's my goal.
Atlas, who we interviewed, he was a truck driver, and he was driving a route for FedEx back and forth, back and forth. He wrote every single, some of his, you know, songs, almost every single one of his start while driving a truck because he's got all this time.
Oh,
And he's just thinking, taking some notes down, audios on his phone, doing all this different stuff while driving a truck. And I don't know if you ever listened to him, but he's one that some of his are pretty gut wrenching as well. But hey, you got all that time to think to yourself, and sometimes, I mean, that can be the best time. It can be some of the worst times because the only thing you got are your own thoughts in your head and what you're listening to.
Yeah, and those are scary times sometimes, but my time, my idle time, some days are difficult. Other days, I just have fun out there. I mean, it's just me and the road. So,
Hammer Down, was that the song that you wrote in the back of the RV that day?
no, so that is When We're Us is the original
When We're
song.
Us.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So yeah, I assume that's all online too, and we can.
Have we put that one out online yet? I don't think
That
we
one's
have
not
yet.
there
Okay.
yet.
I think you probably have your copy.
I have it in emails and stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if that can be shared or wants to be shared or not, but
It's
certainly
up to James,
we
honestly.
can play some clips,
Yeah. No, I mean that's
on it as well. If
I'm
that wants to be shared.
definitely fine with however. I mean that's more you guys. So
We, in my book, and I think this was a question that was asked like right after you wrote. You had asked if you could print your lyrics on the back of your shirt, and I was like, dude, that's yours. That's your. We list him as a writer on the song, so he gets credit and royalties if it ever goes, anywhere. It's his. It's
So
not
what is
ours.
what is the plan with that song too? How does that go to get released? At what point, or how does that work?
I'm not exactly positive. That's not my area of CreatiVets. That's like Brett's area and Richard's area. We can only release so many because we have to find people to to actually sing the lyrics
Right.
and do the tracks and all that.
It'd be hard it'd be hard just if you have all these. I mean, how
Yeah.
do you pick one? It's any more important than the other. But
And
you got 1,000 and you got to pick 10 for the year.
it'd be
How
it'd
do
be,
you do that?
Yeah,
It'd
you're
be-
exactly right.
it'd be
It's-
awesome even if you have the lyrics, like a lyric sheet. It'd be cool to just if we could share that even with this
anything.
post. I think that'd be amazing. man.
I've got it in emails.
Yeah,
and
so we'll have
stuff,
to follow up
That'd
on
be
that.
that'd be really cool. I always defer. So, coming from I helped raise a ton of money for CreatiVets. Richard, the co-founder, is my best friend. To now, I work part time for CreatiVets as just kind of managing projects and hounding Austin and Wayne for tailgates. Is basically all I do. No,
It's a full-time job.
I bug the hell out of you guys. No, but it's one of those that my view has always been. I think CreatiVets' view has probably always been. We don't care what use your words and your song however you want to use it. So if you want to share it on the 13 people and Ryan's mom, podcast, then let's do that. No, I'm kidding. But if you want it on
not
here,
that far off.
no, hey man, this thing's gonna.
No, man, we
booming.
get some. I mean, we've had some. I just looked last night, and we've had some reels get upwards of 60,000 views.
That's
and,
awesome.
I mean, it's cool
That's
which
grown.
ones strike. And for us, man, I mean, it's just as much therapy at times for us, but also you never know what story. I mean, we're not doing this for the views or to be something crazy, but it's cool to hear everybody's story, whether it's an artist. Of everybody thinks the battles and what they've been through are all different. They've all come different routes. Some of them have came from a background that's been way harder to get to where they're at, and some have man, one day some random guy called me, and next thing I know, I'm moving to Nashville, and it was like bang bang, boom, I'm off. So everybody's got a different story, and whether or not people have served or gotten an easy road or not, they all still have battles. This goes back to the same thing, man. Everybody still has their battles and demons to deal with. Where do you sit now? Where are you at now in your life? Of where are you at in your journey as far as your confidence, your personal life of, I don't know, that chapter.
So after Clinton, then I did print my lyrics and met in the next week we were in Bloomington.
Yeah.
Just to be in that same setting, just to kind of continue that fire to decide, hey, it's okay. You can do this. And
So there had to be. Sorry, I'm cutting
no,
you
no,
off.
no,
So there had to be. I mean, that moment. You're again in Clinton, Iowa, at Tailgate and Tall Boys. You and your wife Danielle are there to enjoy the show. You get kind of pulled into the back of an RV, and all of a sudden, you're in
We've
a.
all been in the back of an RV in a weird place, and it's no.
I don't know about
But
all that.
yeah, right.
I think that's
just
I think
you,
that's a
Brandon.
Brandon story.
Sorry, guys.
But you're sitting there. You,
Oh no, we're not cutting that.
you feel yourself getting vulnerable, which is a different position for you at that time. And you said, and I'll say it, and we've got some of your family here in the room with us, and some others. I mean, your intentions going to Tailgate and Tall Boys, and I'm going to be kind of to the point. Go enjoy your time with Danielle, but then after that, in your mind, you were
done.
planning on killing yourself. Am I right in saying it?
My story was to end.
Yeah.
And
So you're sitting in the back of an RV, and all of a sudden these emotions start to flow, and that vulnerability, and you start to see some more daylight, if you will, or if I can elaborate on your story that way. You start to see that daylight, and then now all of a sudden you saw enough daylight to be like, hey, somebody along the way said, hey, we're going to be in Bloomington for the next Tailgate and Tall Boys next week. Would love for you to have us. Would love for you to come join us.
This actually he surprised us by coming
Oh, really?
down to Bloomington.
yeah,
He wanted to come.
they had no idea.
Yeah, because I wasn't in Iowa, so I knew we had a really awesome write.
Yeah.
I knew that, hey, I heard from Brett and team, yeah, we had an awesome write. James was awesome. He wanted to put his lyrics on his shirt, blah, blah. And then next thing you know, I hear, hey, he's coming down to Bloomington to just come see us. I was like, well, shit, we can get him some free tickets. Like, because you guys are, I will say it's the best. Like, I can hit Austin up middle of the day. Hey, dude, I need a couple of wristbands for a veteran. He's coming in. We need to ride or whatever. And Austin's like, yeah, dude, go see, X, Y, or Z person and grab a couple, or he'll even deliver them, which is really cool. And we appreciate that. Like, appreciate the hell out of that. But next thing you know, James like, nah, I'm buying my tickets. I want to support the festival. I'm like, dude, that just shows the man James is he wanted to support the festival. I think in my head, maybe realizing, I'm still here because of this festival. I want to support it, keep, help whatever way I can. Whereas a CreatiVets guy, I'm like, dude, the festival does a lot for us, and we try to do a lot with the festival. And, you're still boots on the ground here in the festival. You're still an extra person who's buying food and drinks, but he wanted to support it. And he showed up, and he walks up to us, and, I introduced, or he introduced himself to me, blah, 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 shake hands. And, I'm wearing sunglasses because it's bright and a nice, awesome day. And, he starts telling the story of how he wrote, and then kind of what was his intentions were that night. And I mean, I had to turn around, and I don't even think Brett knew, and Brett was there too. And I think we all just kind of had to like turn around real quick, because it was like instant waterworks for me. And I think Brett got hit pretty hard with that, and he had to, even take a walk, and just kind of like, holy shit, we've never had, at least I've never had anybody say that, as part of, knowing CreatiVets for 11 years now, I've never had anybody say that was going to be my last day until I met you guys. And so it was a very powerful moment. I immediately just wanted to hug him, and I'm like, dude, I'm so glad you're still here. I'm so glad. And so, yeah. And then, James hung out and chatted, and I mean, he's still here with us. And, he came and actually spoke at our gala and gave a speech that I think I filmed and sent to you guys. And all you hear is me going, like sobbing in the middle of it. Like, and I'm like, hopefully somebody else has a better clip of that without my, my big baby tears in it, but anyway, sorry, I kind of went off on a...
No, but even back to the thing, how are you now? Where are you at right now with your journey of what we call life? And again, I know there's other people here, but I mean, to me, that's the most important thing of like where you're at, because it's gone a couple years, and where's your headspace at now?
I mean, I know my wife and my daughter's here, but they know I am who I am. So I mean that part of it is I still deal with a lot of things today, but I have other avenues to deal with them, if that makes sense. I have more hope in life. I mean, my wife and I, on the way over here, are drawing up plans for our new addition to the house at the 40. You know, I have goals. You know, the easiest way to kill a man is to take his dreams.
Yeah.
So when you have goals and dreams in life, you're able to keep going, and I have those again, whereas before I didn't. And so, you know, I can honestly tell you that I would love to hit up one of these surf sides with you guys, but other than the one screw up I've had, I haven't drank since July 19th of 2023. And
Good for you, man.
you know,
awesome.
and for me, and keeping my family life together, that's probably a good thing for me because I'm trouble, but so,
Yeah, that's
Well, I
something to be
I
proud
even
of.
had to ask Ryan. I'm like, dude, I don't know if we should take all this stuff out of here. But then I almost feel like, I don't know. I feel like honestly, that's like you're a grown ass man to be able. You're around this stuff. You're going to come to the festivals
yeah.
and stuff. I almost been like, I don't need to like hide all this shit and put it away. But I did ask him on the way. I'm like, dude, should we like take all this stuff away? And you know, dude, that's very powerful to be around that and have that strength. You know, to make that life choice too, and you know, to have those dreams. And I mean, coming from even my standpoint, man, like I'm somebody that gets to go party and have fun, do these festivals.
no, yeah.
I get to do all this crazy fun shit. I have stories that would blow people's mind. But dude, I have struggles. Like I have my own struggles. My two kids are sitting right here eating salad loud as fuck. Like those two,
Too quiet.
you know, those two at the end of the day, like, dude, I've had some dark times from 2019 to now, and they pushed me through everything. I mean, I've looked at him last night and just told him like how much he is my strength for what I do, and it's not just you. Like it's all
yeah.
four of us sitting here are guys that if we open up said, man, we struggle, and most people be like Austin, this or Ryan, you know, I don't know, Brandon. Yes, we all do it, and it's a fact of life. And I think you just got to find ways. And I do think, you know, even self talk, you know, the voices in your head, the more positive those can be. But for
them
me,
dark
man,
ones
just
are tough.
as a guy to guy, just knowing that we come from completely different walks of life
Yeah.
doesn't mean we don't all still have struggles.
No, yeah.
They're just different, and I think that's been something we've just learned from everybody we've talked to. This has been really eye opening. Circling back, I just told Ryan last week, I'm like, I don't think we're ever going to talk to somebody that has actually watched our show that knows the questions that are coming. Because I asked him, I'm like, should we switch up our questions? What if somebody plans for one of these questions? Back to the music, you're on your plane, and I mean, this is kind of a fucked up one now with all the things going on, or I kind of feel bad even saying it, but you're on your plane, you're deciding to go to an island, we'll say for the rest of your life, you're going to get away to you're going to go to your 40 and just be gone forever as far as hang out with the family, but you're only taking 5 albums for the rest of your life. I know you said you can even do songs, which I appreciate. However you want to do it, what are the 5 that you're going to listen to forever that you just could stand the test of time?
So I'm going to take 5 songs. I'm going to take Garth Brooks' The Dance. I'm going to take the band Steel, Sit a While. And I'm going to take Nelly's Ride With Me.
Oh,
There it is.
There you
And
go.
then I'm going to take Jelly Roll's Life. And I'm going to take Dax, Lonely Road.
They're all good.
Yeah.
Or Lonely Dirt Road.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, got
Kelly
some new
Roll's
ones in
Life,
there,
that's
too.
one that isn't like, I mean, that's not his most popular that everybody says too, but that is a good one. I like that. It's a good variety too.
Yeah, and there's so much, and I could sit here with you and just dig into farther, and I want to, and I'm trying to sit on my hands just so we can do the highlights, because I think we could spend hours just talking about the similarities and things that we've been through that way. And I want to hear, you know, your thoughts on it too. But for me, it was like, you know, this is what I've trained for. This is, you know, why I raised my right hand. It's not, you know, because I want to be a hero. It's because I want to go over and I want to see, you know, what this is. I want to go and do my part within that. And what I heard from your story quickly, you kind of felt the same thing.
And I do, and I did, and You know, I wanted to see the actual camels of Kuwait on Hump
Oh,
Day.
absolutely.
You know, I didn't want to see it on Facebook. I wanted to take
on
my own
Hump Day.
pictures. I mean,
I've got
no,
pictures of camels.
That's really not why I went, but you know, I was, you know, like you said, you train for those things, and through all of our trainings and stuff that we do in the States, you know, I mean, okay, yeah, I can do my job, but can I do it in that moment?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want to go find out. And, you know, there wasn't a question when the phone call came in, hey, we need 47 of you guys out of the 150 who's going. Put my name on the list. Be sure, put my name on the list. I'll talk to Mama when I get home. We'll figure this out. You know, there was no hesitation when he called. And it is that sense of completing the journey that you've trained for. And like I said, that's probably one of the hardest things for me to deal with in my life now, is some of that was taken from me by a simple injury. So, you know, but yeah, I signed me up.
Yeah.
I can build anything here. I want to see if I can build it over there with rhino, snot, and sand.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, there was no question.
At what point? Let's go to something off topic a little bit. At what point did you decide I'm going to do a mohawk? This is the route that my life is going to go. I don't know what chapter. When did this start?
As I mentioned before, my father and I didn't always see eye to eye. I mean, he had a goal for me in life, and I was always, so I have an older brother that, you know, he was always kind of that top notch, you know, if you're going to be anything, Dad's going to be proud of him. Those were the shoes that I had to fill.
Mm-hmm.
Not only did I have to live up to my father's expectations, I also had to fill those golden shoes of my older brother. And that was my goal when I was younger, was to be like him. And I did my best to do what I was supposed to do, and you know, and in high school I was a flat top, you know, buzz sides, you know. I dyed my hair toward the end of my senior year. We bleached our hair and shaved our heads for our senior year of football, that we were going into the playoffs. That was the beginning of my hair. He was very clean cut kind of hair, you know. You kept your beard trimmed. You had certain hairstyles that were acceptable, and I remember when I came back and I had bleached my hair for our playoffs, he was pissed. Like, why would you do that? Now I know how to get under your skin. I love you, but, you know, so
You went the hard way.
every lesson I've ever learned in my life is the hard way. And I hope that I don't have to learn it again. So, you know, so it kind of started after I graduated high school, and I came back to work in the same factory that he did all of his life, essentially. I mean, that's where he retired from, and he was there for over 40 years. And so, you know, I stepped into those shoes. While I was working there, they always correlated that, oh, it's Danny's boy, you know. I just like Danny, you know. He's going to do Danny's job when he gets, you know, when Danny retires. So I wanted to be different. So that's where the mohawk came from, was this is my image. You know, yes, that's my dad, but I'm not him. So
I think that we should get Brandon a mohawk.
Dude,
For
I got a
Tailgate and
pic-
Tall Boys.
I got a picture on my phone from an old friend that works at the Paradise that she found in the files when I used to work there as a valet. I was like 20. She sent it to me, and I was like, "You better fucking delete that right now," because I laughed inside when James was talking about bleaching his hair. He had a shaved head. I didn't. I had like a middle part. Total douchebaggery with like this color hair with just bleach blonde highlights.
Oh, the
in
tips.
It. Oh, dude, frosted.
Oh, yeah. Big NSYNC guy.
Frosted tips.
Big
Oh, yeah.
NSYNC
Oh
guy.
yeah. I mean, I don't know how any of my friends got laid back then with me around. I mean, that hairdo, whoo boy.
I think just for the festival, though. Just for the festival, a little mini mohawk maybe. I think it could go well. We could just do the beard in red.
Oh God, no.
I think so. I think it'd be good.
If you're a veteran who struggles and you're in the area, like feel free to reach out to me, message you guys. However, because one thing that it's still a growing program. We write with a few veterans at each festival. We want more. So if you want to you want to come to the festival and tell your story, and you don't want to, however,
How can they contact CreatiVets? What's the best
you
way?
can go to our Facebook, CreatiVets. It's just the word creative with a TS on the end of it. And you find us on there. You can go to creativets.org. That's our website, and you can apply if you want to get into our programs. We have tons of them. We're doing astrophotography now. We go to universities around the nation, enroll veterans for a 3-week program to teach them how to use art and molding and sculpting and all of that to cope with those those unseen scars. But we're gonna be at Tailgates and Tallboys, Clinton and Bloomington this year. We're gonna have a booth set up. Got a pretty cool van given to us by a large company called Amazon. I don't know if you ever heard of them, but they soundproofed it for us, wrapped it. We're gonna have that at each festival, so it's gonna make the songwriting experience a little bit better than just being in a paper thin RV. Where if you're a veteran, you want to tell your story, reach out to either the Tailgate Beers guys, reach out through CreatiVets. Say, hey, saw Brandon on this podcast. I want to come to the festival. We'll find a way to help you at the festival if you want to just come to the festival. If you want to go to Nashville, if you want to, however you want to do it, go to any of our pages and get a hold of us one way or another.
What about donating? So I'm just a random civilian. You called us just, other people. We're civilians, just a random guy, veteran,
you guys
civilian.
are civilians,
Yeah.
How can I donate?
You can go to my Venmo. No. So you can go to creativevets.org. There is a big donate button right on there. We got some cool things coming up. We've got a big golf outing in Nashville coming up that I hope you guys got your team in for.
I did, actually.
Did
First time
you?
ever.
What?
I think
You
I haven't
signed
forced
up?
them. Paid and everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, is it going to be 4 people or 10?
12, I think.
Yeah, all right. Good.
There was no option to just keep adding people,
Yeah.
so I just figured we'd figure that out.
Yeah, wing it.
We'll figure out and wash.
No, but we have a big golf outing in Nashville that is, I believe, is live on our website. I don't know if it's filled up yet. It usually fills up really quick, where you can golf with, some pretty big names like Austin and maybe even Jelly Roll.
Yeah. Two very big names.
Yeah, probably the biggest names that play it. And we have a lot of fun, and then we do a big concert down on Broadway afterwards. We're still figuring that aspect out this year of if it's Whiskey Jam or whatever. But yeah, if you want to donate, you want to be, creativevets.org. If you're a veteran and you need help, creativevets.org. If you want to come to the festival, find, message either CreatiVets Facebook page or Instagram or the Tailgate Beers guys. They can put you in touch with me. They'll give out my super secret name on Facebook, and we'll get in touch. Or we can email.
Yeah. From Tailgate and Tallboys' perspective, info@usa-concerts.com. You can email there if you have questions about CreatiVets, getting involved in that way, donating at the festival. If you're not sure, go to a box office, go to merchandise. They'll point you in the direction. Tailgate Beers, DM us or reach out, to Ryan or I, or again, go to Tailgate and Tallboys socials, message there, get involved. You can donate, or if you're a veteran just looking to get connected with somebody, let us know. And like I said, info@usa-concerts.com, and we'll get you connected.
And honestly, my email is a real easy one too. It's brandon@creativevets.org.
Yep.
So you can just kick me an email too. Hopefully no spam or any Austin's probably going to go take that and sign me up for all sorts of stuff now. I'm surprised he hasn't already. But feel free to reach out if you need info or anything. Like, I want to help as many veterans as possible. I want to find, every James that we can. And even if, it doesn't have to be life or death. If you just need to talk, reach out. Like, it doesn't have to be you're at the end. It can be you're at the beginning trying to figure it out. It can be wherever you are in your story, whatever chapter you're on, reach out. We're here.
So 2 quick points for me. One, I want to point out Austin's new hoodie he's got on today, the Golf of America sweatshirt.
Love that.
We'll be selling those on Tailgate Beers.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep, and we'll donate all proceeds to CreatiVets for those sales.
Shout out
awesome.
Dan Hamilton for getting this for me.
And then from a veteran to a veteran, I want to thank you for your service first and foremost, and your willingness to raise your right hand and do everything that you did in the service, but then also your willingness to come and sit down with us on Tailgate Beers, and Brandon for introducing us to you, but also your wife and your daughter who's in the room with us, that they're here with you and sharing your story, because it's very, very important. And I'm starting to choke up here, but I'm going to stop that. And again, just thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
And I want to tell you guys thank you. I mean, not only CreatiVets as a whole, but you guys for what you do. And my whole goal of being here, telling my story, is that next one out there that hears it, that realizes there are resources out there that, I mean, there's not everybody at Clinton, Iowa that's going to have a mohawk. I mean, if I'm around, you'll find me.
Yeah.
And I mean, and that's my goal, is to find the next person that needs an opportunity. So I have to thank you guys for giving me that opportunity to come tell my story and just be part of the next big thing with what goes on.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, man,
Awesome.
thanks for being on. Thank you,
you.
Brandon,
Thank
for
you
making
guys
this happen.
for having us, man. That's
So,
awesome.
Appreciate you guys.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks.